give them to us. So he'll be a guy that, if he shows up and does the exact right thing, he can win the fight. If he don't do the right thing, which I don't see him doing, I don't know why he would at this point in his career.
Crawford took the moving up in weight classes serious. He did the dieting, he did the training. So I feel like when you put in work like that,
let's call a spade, right? When you get bigger, you do slow down a little bit, but that doesn't mean he's going to be ineffective at that weight. I think it's a bona fide good point to make. Sometimes it does wind up that way, but I'll give you Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr. Put on weight, was muscular as he moved up the weight classes, and it didn't affect him.
Roy Jones Jr. didn't hold back. He believes Canelo Alvarez can't survive against Terence Crawford. According to Roy, Canelo no longer carries the sharpness, energy, and fire that once defined him. He expressed disappointment in Canelo's current form, questioning how such a dominant champion has looked so diminished at this stage of his career. In contrast, Jones praised Crawford's hunger, discipline, and elite skill set. He dismissed the weight gap, insisting that Crawford's timing, technique, and ring IQ can neutralize any size advantage. For Roy, Crawford's relentlessness would expose the cracks in Canelo's armor, making this fight far more dangerous than many expect.
All be predicated upon how well Terence can take his punch. And what I'm seeing is I see a hungry Crawford, a Crawford that has been looking for the opportunity for a long time, finally getting the opportunity, and really ready to grab the opportunity. And with Canelo, I see a guy who not necessarily hungry, but loves to entertain, loves to give us the big fights. Always tries to give the big fights. He finds a way to give us big fights. Not going to always win them, but he always tries to give them to us. So he'll be a guy that, if he shows up and does the exact right thing, he can win the fight. If he don't do the right thing, which I don't see him doing, I don't know why he would at this point in his career. I don't know. It'll all be predicated upon how well Terence can take his punch.
You said you don't think, or you don't look into the weight difference. Why?
When you know how to box, when you're as skillful as Terence Crawford is, weight don't really matter much.
Jones also issued a warning: if Canelo walks into this fight overconfident, convinced victory is inevitable, he's in for a rude awakening. Underestimating Crawford's skill and strategy, Roy insists, could lead to a punishing defeat that leaves lasting damage.
It's a hard one to call, and I'm going to tell you why it's a hard one to call. It's a hard one to call because it'll all be predicated upon how Canelo approaches the fight. If Canelo approaches the fight like he's the man and he can box and outbox Terence Crawford, he'll get beat. If he comes out and shows that he really wants to go out and prove whether he's still the best, he might win. So it all depends on which Canelo comes to the dance.
Olympic boxer Omari Jones echoed those thoughts, picking Crawford as the man who will leave the ring victorious. He highlighted Crawford's smart approach to moving up in weight, not piling on bulk recklessly, but carefully managing his diet, conditioning, and training. By adding muscle the right way, Crawford has kept his speed, footwork, and agility intact. Omari believes this calculated preparation makes the fight a win-win for Crawford.
And me personally meeting Crawford several times, it's like the man is just so competitive. It's like I don't even have to say nothing to him. He'll just like, man, when we sparring, it's like his competitiveness is always gonna put him over the edge, and then he just has that like, I'm not gonna let you bully me, or his skill set. I know they talk about Charlo when Charlo moved up, but I feel like it may be a little bit different for Canelo this time around because Crawford took the moving up in weight classes serious. He did the dieting, he did the training. So I feel like when you put in work like that, it's a win-win.
So you don't think Crawford, gained that weight, because I saw him, he's pretty big. You don't think that's going to be a disadvantage for him in this fight?
No, it looked like he put it on the right way.
Omari further explained that Crawford isn't just adding weight, he's transforming his body to carry it effectively. Instead of sacrificing the attributes that make him dangerous, Crawford has enhanced them. This, he believes, proves Crawford's discipline and showcases a fighter willing to push himself to new limits against one of boxing's most formidable champions.
you know, the nutrition, the you know, like I said, the training. You know, Crawford, he trains hard, so I feel like, I know they say he probably went up to like 185, so he has to lose that weight. But I think if he did it the right way, which I know he did, he'll be successful in September.
And I know, like we discussed earlier, you know, we talked with your pro debut, and now you're 3-0. Your last fight, July 19th against Blanco, and it was actually your third win by knockout.
Yes.
Super proud of you. How are you feeling about your pro career so far?
I'm feeling great about my pro career. I definitely feel like it's off to a great start. My pro debut in my hometown, and then I was my second fight, Atlantic City, on the Boots card, and then my third fight on the Ben Rodriguez undercard. So Matchroom and Eddie Hearn, they're putting me on these cards, shining light on me, giving me the TV time.
Former world champion Paulie Malignaggi has also taken note of Crawford's transformation. He observed how much bigger Crawford looks heading into this bout, but unlike most fighters, Crawford hasn't lost the sharpness that defines his game. Malignaggi pointed out that many boxers slow down when moving up in weight. But Crawford? He's retained his footwork, speed, and timing.
Listen, let's call a spade, right? When you get bigger, you do slow down a little bit, but that doesn't mean he's going to be ineffective at that weight. I think it's a bona fide good point to make. Sometimes it does wind up that way, but I'll give you Roy Jones Jr. You know, Roy Jones Jr. You know, put on weight, was muscular as he moved up the weight classes, and it didn't affect him. Good old Manny Pacquiao did the same thing, you know. So you know, there's times where it affects, and there's times where, you know, I guess if you put it on the right way. Only Crawford knows it because the way he's training, right? Because you're going to be sparring with this added weight. You're going to be doing the boxing training with this added weight. So you're going to know how to, you know, maybe taper it down if you need to, or keep it going if you need to. You know, I think over the course of camp, if you start to feel too yoked up and, you know, you get big, and then, you know, you're sacrificing reflexes, you're sacrificing athleticism, I think you're going to feel.
In fact, Paulie argues Crawford has struck the perfect balance, adding strength and durability to withstand Canelo's power, without losing the agility needed to execute his game plan. He credits Crawford's professionalism and attention to detail in training. In his view, the added size might not just help Crawford survive, it could give him the extra pop needed to push Canelo back.
Heavyweight kind of weight. What's your thought about that?
Yeah, I mean, well, Roy Jones is Roy Jones, but also Terence Crawford is Terence Crawford. But John Ruiz is not Canelo Alvarez. So that's another aspect of that comparison. And yes, you know, to exactly what the champ said, exactly what Abel Sanchez said, you know, you're going to put on weight, you're going to be a different fighter. And I can say this even as a fighter as myself, as I've gotten heavier in my retirement, I try and move around the gym, it just feels different. And even when you start camp, you feel different in the beginning than you do at the end. But listen, we're still 4 or 5 weeks away. I don't know exactly what Terence is weighing right now. And even if he does say what he weighs, man, he's gone out there and said he's weighed, you know, all types of crazy numbers just to get media to respond. So it's really not really going to know until the fight and we see these guys next to each other. He might look bigger right now, but he might not be.
Boxing analyst Max Kellerman delivered a sharp technical breakdown of the matchup. He highlighted Crawford's jab, calling it one of the most precise and effective weapons in the sport today. It controls rhythm, range, and tempo. While Canelo once had a jab just as sharp, Kellerman noted that it has noticeably faded in recent years. That difference, he argued, gives Crawford a real edge in dictating the pace of the fight.
That attribute. First attribute, best jab.
Crawford.
Best defense.
Crawford. Nowadays, Crawford. I would say early in the fight, Canelo. And earlier in his career, Canelo. But he hasn't been that kind of fighter in recent years. Although Crawford is also hittable. With any fighter, when you talk about their defense, the question is not, can they be hit with a shot? You take punches. Everyone, the greatest defensive fighters ever get hit. Pernell Whitaker, Willie Pep, Floyd Mayweather, they all get hit. The question is, can you hit them with combinations? And both guys are hard to hit. With the two-piece, hard to hit.
Who has the best footwork out of the two?
In terms of cutting off the ring, last fight notwithstanding, Canelo has gotten much better at cutting off the ring.
Kellerman contrasted Crawford's tactical brilliance with Canelo's reliance on size and strength. Against smaller opponents, Canelo's power is overwhelming. But if Crawford forces him into a mental, tactical chess match, Kellerman believes the balance tips heavily in Crawford's favor. For him, Crawford's fight IQ is one of the biggest weapons in this showdown.
Early in his career, he had a problem with that and was much more comfortable counterpunching. But overall, I have to say Crawford. If you go down the list and ask me about tactical advantages, most of them are Crawford. What Canelo has is size, and as a result, physical strength and punching power. Canelo also has a great chin. But in terms of, if you want to go skill for skill, especially the recent version of Canelo, who's had to turn into a seek and destroy guy, who had to learn as his career went on to cut off the ring and not just follow guys around. Like Lara, Trout, Floyd, he followed those guys around. He had trouble because he's really a natural counterpuncher who wants you to come to him. But in recent years at super middleweight, he's gotten really good at cutting off the ring. Again, last fight notwithstanding. So as an overall suite of skills, recent vintage, it's been Crawford. Okay. But Canelo also is skilled and has a larger skeleton.
Respected commentator Showbiz the Adult offered a more balanced take. He acknowledged Canelo's raw strength, his durability, and his ability to apply pressure while landing sharp counterpunches. But he also praised Crawford's unique background, especially his wrestling roots, which gave him the ability to read opponents, counter strategies, and adapt mid-fight. To Showbiz, both men bring tools that make this fight a true 50-50.
Canelo uses his legs, he uses his core, and then his neck itself to lift up Bivol like Bivol was a featherweight. That is a huge representation of how strong Canelo is. When you look at his workouts, you can tell why he was able to do that. All these damn neck exercises that I wouldn't dare do. Okay, that stuff looks painful. The squatting and all that stuff that he's doing is exactly why Canelo Alvarez, honestly, is a strong fighter. He tried to do it again with William Skull. William Skull shook out of it. But he is a bull. Listen, Terence.
Across the boxing community, however, one theme is clear: Crawford's strategy will decide the outcome. Analysts agree this isn't just another fight on his resume, it's the defining moment of his career. A win over Canelo Alvarez wouldn't just silence doubters, it would cement his legacy among the sport's all-time greats. To do it, Crawford must stay disciplined, control distance, pick his moments, and avoid falling into reckless exchanges where Canelo's power could change everything. As many experts put it, this fight is as much about mental sharpness as physical ability.
Understands that he has to be smart. And I think with this one specifically, it ain't just about being smart. He knows he has to look like he's never looked before, because again, if he doesn't and he beats Canelo, everybody's just gonna say, well, that's Crawford. You know, so I think he knows that this is the performance of a lifetime and everything has to look right. He knows in order for it to look right, he can't just go out there and let the dog go. The dog is, you know, he got to work his way up to the dog. Hey, show the clip real quick. I don't know if you showed it already, but this is the dog you're talking about right here, right? And so this is, I pulled this clip right here. I seen it on social media this morning.
Don't do that. That's what I'm saying.
And I pulled this clip, right? But this is Terence.
That's who he is.
He's not gonna swing on Canelo. He already know that part of the game. But what I asked you, were you ever trying to send a message to your opponents? He's letting you know, and it's no act. And that's what I really wanted to show, is that's not an act.
No.
That's not, there's 30 security guards.
I don't know, it feels a little contrived.
You think so?
I think a lot of people feel it's a little like.
Well, I'm glad you used a big word that most of us don't know.
Hey, I don't fight as good as you guys. I had to learn some big words, right, to make up for that.
Don't look it up. Just ignore.
You need big words to get out of fights. You know, you need big words to get out of fights. But you know, okay. So case in point, our guy Hafey, sitting right there, producer extraordinaire. He had a picture of Terence Crawford in New York for the Crawford-Spence press conference. And there was this look, when Terence, he gave this look to Spence that reminded me of like Dwight Muhammad Kawi.
Super middleweight contender Edgar Berlanga also shared his thoughts. He urged Crawford not to change too much, to trust the style and approach that made him great, rather than trying to match Canelo physically. Berlanga acknowledged that moving up 2 divisions is a huge challenge, but insisted Crawford's skill, ring IQ, and composure will be more important than raw size. For Berlanga, Crawford's willingness to take this fight already proves his championship mindset. Win or lose, it's the kind of challenge that separates great fighters from everyone else.
First of all, he got to go in there. He just got to fight him. You know what I'm saying? He got to go in there. I think Crawford just got to go in there and do what he got to do. You know what I'm saying? He got to just be Crawford. You know, show his IQ, show him why he's a 2-time undisputed, world champion, and go in there with confidence. You know what I'm saying? That's all it is. It's a big weight difference, a big weight jump. That could be a difference in the fight. Because obviously, it's like me jumping up to heavyweight. Obviously, I'm a feel the power. I'm a feel that size difference, compared to my other fights. So I just think that he got to go in there and just be himself. And I said, if he loses, we'll just all know that, hey, he just jumped up 2 weight classes to be great. You know what I'm saying? It's not, he can't really, he's testing himself. He's testing himself a great fighter. So, and I don't doubt him, I don't got no doubt in my mind. He's a 2-time undisputed world champion for a reason. So, and I don't think nothing's gonna phase him in that fight. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the power, maybe the size. You know what I'm saying? And Canelo, he's not knocking Canelo out. So, he just got to go in there just IQ.
Would you lean towards Canelo still in that fight?
I got faith in him. I think Crawford could do it. You know what I'm saying? I think he could do it. Just like I said, just the size. The only shit that throws the fight off is the size and obviously the power, and Canelo's IQ too, because Canelo got IQ. You know what I'm saying? And Canelo fought a lot much bigger guys. So I know the Crawford's power ain't gonna phase him. I know Crawford's size ain't gonna phase him either. You know what I'm saying? So, but for me, I think it's a 50-50 fight.
And finally, legendary trainer Teddy Atlas kept it simple. He believes Terence Crawford is special. In Atlas's eyes, Crawford combines rare physical gifts with technical mastery and a champion's mentality. True greatness, he says, isn't just about talent, it's about delivering when the pressure is at its highest. And time after time, Crawford has shown he can rise to the occasion. For Atlas, this fight against Canelo is not just another challenge, it's another chance for Crawford to prove his greatness on the biggest stage possible.
He's a little overrated. Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez at 168 pounds.
Canelo's really good, really good. But I think Crawford is special. I know he hasn't fought the resume everyone wants, but you have that or you don't have that ingredient. I think he has it. Canelo's really good. He's tremendous. But could he be a tiny bit overrated? The greatness is within Crawford. It's in his desire, it's in his mind, it's in his makeup, where he came from. I know he's moving up in weight class, can he carry it, but...
And that's it for today's breakdown. What do you think? Does Crawford have the tools to dethrone Canelo, or will Canelo's power and experience prove too much? Drop your predictions in the comments below, and stay tuned for more fight talk.